Hello guys. I got a little delayed. My bad. But I'm here now. We'll see how long this ends up actually being, but yeah.
It soothes the eyes.
Alright, let's continue.
Add your ears to my tales, and you'll be sore for it.
Knock knock.
Hold your monkeys. Let me fix you up a little.
No transformation. Monkey time, yeah. Hey Benji.
Welcome, good sirs.
Not that I forgot, but I'm instantly reminded how cool the designs are in this game.
Be our guests.
Or I guess just say in general in Chinese mythology. It has a very unique style, but seeing it like 3D animated is kind of crazy. I'm glad I stopped where I did yesterday, because I would have been intrigued to keep going.
My gentlemen, you're fashionably late. Is your lady not joining us again this time?
Our lady prefers not to be seen in the lower realm. But she's been thinking of you all and sent this small token. She hopes your lady will recover soon and pay her visit up there.
It's a pity she didn't come. Or she would certainly enjoy a splendid show we've prepared for her. But
These were the two guys they were carrying us in the I
and
guess the carriage or
blood's
whatever.
unshed. I say,
So we just turned into them.
you two should take the fall.
We're just servants, madam. What's the jest?
Zhu Ba Jie. I know you find your look embarrassing, but why hide from my mother with another pig face?
Well, didn't work.
Rude girl. Don't you know I'm a pious Buddhist? Give me your mother's name, and I'll check my list.
You heartless ass. After you
You heartless ass.
her reputation, you're telling me
I
you
like
don't
her.
remember her.
Reputation?
I like a
The
good
other
insult
boys care
game.
about reputation. All she cared about was lust. Now I know. You're one of her spiderlings, aren't you?
Never mind.
Well,
I'm not into
your
spiders.
rudeness is forgiven. Show some respect. Maybe I'll
Well, actually,
invite
maybe
you
that's
to
up,
pay your
maybe that's up
mother
for
a
debate.
visit.
Depends on the spider, I guess.
Or not. I'm afraid that is not your call.
Second sister. Yeah, I think I'll have to pass. I need to remind myself how to play this game. Right, also a quick little, what did I do after the stream ended yesterday in this game? I went and finished a small side quest I wasn't even looking for, but the dude in the cells, where I lived for a little while, apparently had a final thing to give me. That's pretty much it. He gave me this weapon, which is a spear instead. It has a different attack chain than the pole. Very easy boss. Honestly, probably the easier ones in the game. She didn't really do much. Missed all of it. Damn. Yeah, this was just a really easy boss. Like, that's pretty much it, I think. I obviously also explore a lot, so some bosses might be really easy if I'm a little over leveled.
Curse it! Bugs are bugs! Wearing human skin can't change your gross nature!
Wait, was she a spider or a human first? I need to know. How attracted should I be?
Ain't the last monkey still fresh in his grave? And here you are, another monkey's sidekick.
Cut your bullshit! Get your mother to beg for mercy, and maybe I'll spare your foolish life!
Truth is, the thing you seek is right here in the hollow. Flee now if you're too scared to come in.
Scared my hoof! I'll destroy this rotten hole right now! Let's see where else you'd build your lair!
It's been much more entertaining story-wise since he came into it. He's great. I love Baji. He's cool. And he's very cute. It is dark. Holy shit. Took a little while for it to adjust. Damn. What's this way then? Because I came from there. Also, Benji, while you're here, can you check if the song request stuff works now? Because it worked off stream when I tested it. Obviously not really relevant for Wukong streams, but... Alright, perfect. So yeah, it seems like it was just because I needed an update that it didn't show until I completely closed the program. Oh, even the link worked? Okay. Awesome. That's great. Because that was just another weird little headache that came in. For no reason. I want everything to work so I can just focus on Smite 2 when it comes. Dude, this game is so incredibly beautiful. It's insane that how well this looks without, like, with barely any technical issues. I mean, it comes at a cost, I guess. Like, look at this rock, for example. Like, this is just not rendering at all, or very well, compared to its brother right here, who is rendering perfectly. But even so. Patient to 100 PoE, then season changes? Season challenges, I see. Yeah, PoE is one of those weird things that I always wanted to get into it, but the one time I tried, I was just overwhelmed. But I think it was just because I wasn't really in the mood for it at the time either. Because getting overwhelmed... I play 2 MMOs right now. I'm legitimately playing 2 MMOs. I'm playing an online game, which is Smite. And I'm always having some kind of single-player game as well to get a change of pace. So I don't think I can be whining about complicated stuff, because I keep getting into new shit. But yeah, even then, it's... I probably just wasn't in the mood, which is why I'll see if I can jump in on the second one. Plus, I guess there is a like slight outdatedness of the first one. Dude. Is this death? I guess only one already found out. It was a loading screen. Oh, well, this seems great. I'm glad we did this. We're dead. Game's over. That was my patch notes. I didn't know. Midir? Is Midir getting added? I mean, I started getting watching the patch notes, but because of some issues, technical issues with Songify, I ended up getting distracted, so I didn't go all the way through the patch notes. Oh, you're making a joke, I see. I wouldn't be surprised if Midir was some kind of god name. But no, I haven't gone through all of it. I'll finish it tomorrow. I'll just go through the rest. Then I have something to do while waiting for the queue. Chest. Also, Neo. Speaking of Souls-like games and such, are you familiar with the first Berserker Kazan? A game that has recently as well been revealed. Like last year, I think was the first showing, and there was a new trailer at Gamescom a few days ago. Seen gameplay, yeah? Do you think it looks good? I'm pretty excited for it. And it does help with that the voice actor for the main character is someone I really enjoy, who is Ben Starr. Ben Starr is great. He's super good. Ooh, a new pole? Shit and stuff. Damn, I just got a new spear, and then now I have to go back to my pole, my staff, I guess. I still don't know what this is. There's another upgrade I must have missed somewhere. Survivors might have watching the update show. The passion devs showing has been decided for the future of the first season. Okay, that's cool. That's awesome. Visuals and a lot coming seems great, but you need to feel grabs with some animations. Yeah, there must be some animation problems, but hopefully, like, it doesn't even have a release date yet, so maybe there's some ironing out the last few things. I like the deflect feature. Seems fluid, not as fluid as Wukong, but fluid. Yeah, I just need it to feel good, and so far it looks like it feels good, if that makes any sense. Like, hits are impactful. Deflecting seems super, like, I guess, satisfying. But yeah, I'm hoping it's gonna be something good as well. If anything about Wukong... Oh, God. Oh, of course. If there's anything about Wukong I wish it had, it was just a deflect button. Or, like, a parry button. Because there is none of that so far. It has like a parry ability, but it not being a normal thing just doesn't make it as satisfying. I don't even think the parry ability is worth it. Still, it's still great combat, but I'm so addicted to parry systems at this point. Parry systems just feel so good in games. Sekiro has ruined me. Sekiro just has the best parry I've ever witnessed in a game, and I need more. This kind of dark, man. Jesus Christ, I don't know why that scared me. He's one of the brightest things in here. I'm definitely gonna miss something in here, because it's so dark. But at least now, I guess I kind of know that you won't be missing out on any like side quests and stuff. It seems like they're not gated by anything. You can just always go back to a chapter and finish stuff. So that's pretty cool. So I won't be worrying too much about missing something. I'll just have fun and explore instead of always thinking about remembering different paths and stuff. I'll probably do that inevitably, but I'll try to do it a bit less. It's like one thing I don't like Wukong's gameplay is that I've seen the little blur they add in the weapon swings. Oh, you mean like the after, like wind almost effect? Yeah, I can see that. I'm not sure if you can turn it off. Let's see real fast. You can actually turn off headgear. I'm gonna do that. I didn't even know you could do that. I kind of want to see Wukong's face. You also have damage numbers, which I think is really funny. I'm gonna turn that on just to see. I'm kind of curious. Interaction prompts, low health alerts. Yeah, I don't think you can turn off the that stuff unless it would be somewhere in like. I imagine it would be alongside motion blur, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It's funny. I mean, before you said it, I never even really noticed it. And I'm very, very picky with motion blur in general, but on the weapon, I guess I just don't really care. Damage numbers are certainly interesting. Don't really affect me much. I'm way too used to playing games with damage numbers. But not having them is probably a bit more immersive, so... Yeah, I just hate the way motion blur looks often. I think it's fine, in, like, it's situationally fine in games, but generally it just isn't good. It just makes everything look worse when you turn the camera. Final Fantasy 16, when it was originally released, it's been fixed now. Now it was added, but you couldn't change the motion blur when Final Fantasy 16 released on PS5. And it was fucking bad. It was really bad motion blur. I still love the share of the game, but Jesus Christ, the motion blur in that game was real bad. Luckily, they added a patch that fixes it, so you can just turn it off. Was that really all there was in here? That's so bizarre. And sus. All that for a little bit of will. I'm already lost. Like, have I been here? I can't tell. Where am I? Dude, this game legitimately, it's way too big to not have a map. I think it's crazy that there is no map. In some fashion. It doesn't even have to be like an actual map, but if it just had some kind of like, you're now in this city, or like, I don't know, if it had a Sekiro map, that would also be a bit more fine, I guess. Even though Sekiro's map isn't much of a map. But it's better than nothing. Okay, I can't get there, because I clearly haven't been over there. For this area, I'm actually going to turn up my brightness a little bit. It's going to completely fuck it up on... like bright areas, but it's so dark here. Where is it? Where are you at, huh? Am I blind? I am blind. Alright, whatever, I guess. Should be in display? I can check. Not as far as I can tell, no. Frame generation, no. Whatever. Sometimes in games I realize you can only change it in the menus, or like if you go back to the menu screen. I don't know, I can't be asked to do that. It's not bad. I'm pretty sure we see the same thing. Like, it's not bad, but I feel like you can definitely tell. Oh shit. Holy shit, you can get all the way down there? Damn. Alright, well, where the fuck do I go? So now I kind of feel like I know where I am. It's just, I don't know how to proceed. Because I'm pretty sure I just went this way. No, this is where it came from. Cancel that. Huh. I think this is where I was before. Well, I'll check again, I guess. Maybe I wasn't here. Why are you in the egg, man? That's kind of weird. Who shot me? All the way over there? Oh my god, I can't even get to that guy from here. Image calibration? Alright, let's check it out. This might be a little bright. Let me see. Well, it's not too bright for this area. Sweet. You're going to be off topic, but I had this discussion with a mate earlier. What's your favorite OST from Elden Ring DLC? Last boss. By a pretty large margin. The last boss theme absolutely fucking destroys me. It hypes me up so much. In a good way. Close second, I would say, is... what was that theme called? The ones who... with a common cause? Is that... something about that? The allied, I guess, boss theme. The quest enemy boss theme. It's very, very fucking good. Atmospherically, Midra is very good too. But there's too much downtime for the Midra one to be a super favorite of mine. It's very atmospheric. It really sets the mood, but it also just is silent for a lot of it, and I'm not a huge fan of that. Could you just die already? Thank you. Yeah, Lots of Fallen, new one has a cripple map type thing. Yeah, I think Lots of Fallen had a lot of good things. It's just the moment-to-moment gameplay wasn't that great. I still completed it. I think it had overall, like, cool systems, very, very cool idea, very, very cool graphically as well. Like, really satisfying graphically, I think. Combat was kind of not great. It's just in terms of, like, feeling. It had a cool parry button, though. I like the parry button. Bosses were very unsatisfying, I think, as well. Or it didn't have any memorable bosses to me. Like, not even one. Maybe the very first boss, honestly. It's the only one I feel like I remember from the whole game. Yes, I have not played it since the release of it. And maybe I will go back eventually. But we'll see. I don't want to end up getting fed up on Souls games either. Because I can in the end. Holy shit. Dude, why are the small spiders ranged? I don't fucking believe it. Maybe they're not. Maybe it's just this guy. Poisoned me again. Dude, take it. I'm pressing it. Another thing with... another criticism, I guess, with Wukong is that sometimes the input just doesn't work. You have to press some like the same thing sometimes more than once, and it's really not. It doesn't feel good. It happens a lot with flasks in boss fights, and I don't know why it does it, but it does happen, unfortunately. I'm not the only one either who's been complaining about it. A streamer I watch has the same problem, and it just does not feel good sometimes, especially if you're on like a hard boss and you're trying to heal, and the heal just is not going off when you're pressing it. Using frame gen, and I don't know. I have no idea if I am. I'm not sure what it is. Or like specifically what it does, I guess. Yeah, because frame generation is an option somewhere, I think, right? Yeah, oh, there it is. No, I'm not. Yeah. Can I input? Okay. Yeah, the thing is, it's just that. Like, in like, attacking and... I would say, generally just attacking, it doesn't... Like, if dodging also feels good. But I think that's because you can dodge mid, like, attack animation. So there's nothing stopping that. But you can't do the same thing with healing. You need to be doing nothing when you need to heal. And sometimes you're probably stuck in a little extra animation because maybe you got hit or whatever the case may be, and you just can't get the heal off. And even though you thought you pressed it, which you probably did, it just isn't going off because you were still in the middle of an animation. I think that's what's happening. Like in Dark Souls, you can, or Elden Ring or whatever, FromSoft games, you can usually heal very, very quickly after getting hit. This isn't exactly the same. Okay, that's kind of tough. Does the game input buffering, or is it just pure input priority system? It doesn't seem to have any input buffering, from what I've said. There's no queue either. Like in Dark Souls, sometimes when you double press dodge roll and he will just do it after you've done the first one, even though you didn't press. It doesn't have that stuff either. That's from what I've seen or felt. But yeah, I think back to Lord of the Fallen as well. I do think like it has one of the coolest system in a Souls game for sure, with the double world thing. I think it's awesome. It's what got me interested in the game in the first place. It's such a cool system. And it was kind of funny that Wukong had an element of that in a specific area. What's this? Dude, that's so weird. Why is there a little hidden room here with nothing in it? Why am I not being rewarded for my exploration, Wukong, huh? Tell me that, game science. A little bit framey here, dropping to 30 frames in this area. If it keeps up, maybe I'll have to lower some settings here and there. But it's definitely a bit framey here. All the web, I guess. Spider webs are too much. Right. Got a rest spot. Ow. Get snowballed, asshole. Alright. Nice, nice. Oh, I have another slot for this now? Hold it. I also think this is a very cool thing, that you can upgrade your gourd. Your main healing, give it extra effects. I think that's great. It's essentially like the Elden Ring Flask of Physic. It's just your actual flask. So you just give it extra effects when you drink. I think that's cool. I honestly think that if FromSoft want to do that thing again, they should just do this. Makes more sense. Add it into the actual flask instead of giving it a separate flask. Because in Elden Ring, I think you have too many fucking flasks. You have your mana flask, you have your health flask, as well as the flask of Wondrous Physic. It's just... we're reaching too many flasks. When at full health, using the gourd recovers moderate amount of mana. Cool idea, but I'm never gonna be full HP. Could just get more healing. But instead of more focus. Focus could be nice. Damage reduction as well as the one I have is just even more damage reduction. I don't know if they stack. I'll grab focus. Mana Flask. Alright, come on then. Another thing I think Wukong lacks, which I didn't think of, but a streamer I watched, Maximilian specifically, I watched when he played this, said that he thinks one thing that would make combat a bit more smooth is, like, since this is kind of God of War Neo-esque, I obviously haven't played Neo, so I don't know if it has this, but it really, really needs, like, an indicator when you're about to be attacked from the side, like God of War has. Like, give me a little something, like a little red arrow, something's about to hit you from the back. Something like that would be nice to have, because otherwise you get overwhelmed very easily in this game. For no reason, too. Because sometimes there's just fucking shit that spawns and you have no idea. But, I mean, obviously that's not a thing in Souls games. But this isn't exactly a full Souls game. It's very action combat heavy. So I would say this game should have something like that. It's pretty minor, I would say. But I think it would help. Dude, I hate these things. And right there, I actually think it's a good example. I couldn't tell if he was gonna attack me or not. Because some animations just don't really show it very well. So, I think that could be one of the good spots to use it. You know? Have it like show a red arrow or something like that, like an unblockable attack or whatever. An incoming attack, something like that. Dude, can we stop falling down? Holy shit. What if I missed loot up there? Can I get back up? I'm not sure I can. But yeah, I mean, back to the Smite 2 conversation as well, actually. I'm also oddly excited for Smite 2 at this point. Dude, what the fuck? Why can't I attack these? Ooh! Dude, what the fuck? Nasty! Bonk it! I can attack this one as well. But why? Why? Ow. So many nutsacks, I can't see anything. Oh my god. Just let me target this one, thank you. An unbelievable amount of nutsacks in this place. Yeah, I've heard a few people say the Neo thing as well now. I wouldn't know, so obviously can't. This is the closest for me to God of War, which honestly the two the two things I've heard people say the most are exactly what we've been saying as well. People are saying God of War and Neo, with a slight of Souls-like elements, or it's Souls-light. What am I hearing? Something in there? No, wait, dude, it's the moons, or like the things that. Why are they talking? I'll check that out. That sounds like it's fun. I have definitely missed things in this area. 100%. I might have just taken the main path, but what the hell is this?
Big day, big day, big day.
Another sister, I presume?
I heard there's a great treasure hidden within. You seem smart. Why don't you take a chance inside?
There are indeed chests in there. But... Wait, where is she? Where was she? Was she behind the egg? It looks like a way out too. Before I go in there, I want to make sure I'm not missing anything right here next to it. Oh. I'm just back where this was. Wait, where did I go? I went that way? I went that way. This was so close. It was legit just right here. But wait a minute. Because I went over here, but then I went down. Because I got pushed over the edge by the fucking archer. I believe. Oh yeah. I mean, I think all mythologies are very strange. But I think only a few, I guess, developers have been able to portray it like this. Because Japanese, even Norse, like, God of War didn't show how weird Norse mythology is. They only showed it in a, more like an epic way. Because Norse mythology, specifically like surrounding shit like Loki, is so fucking weird. Like, all Loki's children aren't exactly made in a very fun way or cool way. Man turned into animals and fucked animals, you know? He was very strange. And the way he tricked people was incredibly fucked up sometimes, and also incredibly strange. Is it as weird as Chinese and Japanese though? Probably not. I do think that they take it to the next level, but still. Where are you? All the way up there. I think I'm just gonna have to try and run past. Use stealth to my advantage. Poison archers, what a great idea. Yeah, God of War super epicness and mythology rather than the weird stuff, for sure. All the weird stuff is mainly told in stories, like within the God of War series. Sometimes maybe we'll tell you a story. Do you know the meme how Zeus fucks everything that walks? Did you know that he isn't the one with the most bastards in Greek mythology? I didn't know he wasn't the one with the most, yeah. Did not know that. But yeah, I do know that he is known for planting his seed wherever he could. I'm aware of that. Zeus was a bit of a fuckboy. Big bearded fuckboy. Big egg? Or just... no, just normal. Can I go down there from here? No, I can't. That's an invisible wall. I do know who he is. Let me think. Though, oh, look at this. Nothing suspicious about this place. Only a mountain of skulls. Definitely not a boss. I don't know. I mean, I could see someone like Apollo being it, but I don't know for sure. I don't know. I guess I would say Apollo. Because even though Aphrodite was known as the goddess of love, she didn't really make love to that many different people. She was actually quite loyal, funny enough. Oh, look at this guy. A centipede man. I am stuck under his legs. Dude, when he stands up, it's kind of hard to get away from him. Like, it's like you get stuck on his legs. Classic. If you can roll, then enemy always does. It needs to do that. Take some snowballs. Get frozen, idiot. Oh shit, there's so many of them. Dude, what the fuck? How are there so many of them? Are they done? Holy shit. I'll try to freeze him. Mid-air, man. Damn it. Come at me. He didn't give a fuck. Excuse me? I feel like that should have hit, but okay, game. Okay, cool. Yeah, he's Dark Souls 2. I feel like I recently also dealt with an enemy that did that. Like rolling back and forth. I think it was Monster Hunter when I recently replayed Monster Hunter World. It also has an enemy that does that. A bit slower, but yeah, it does that shit. Also filled with mountains and mountains of bones. What did I just get? Oh, I got that guy as well. Oh, actually, gold tree cork. What is this for? Crafting weapons? Okay. Rice cocoons? Nasty. Upon you instantly resets cooldown for all spells? Dude, that's kind of sick. That's kind of sick. Just legitimately spam all your cooldowns. Just use the potion and do it all again. That's actually kind of OP. Oh, the skeleton snakes are back. Damn, Poseidon was that crazy, huh? I wouldn't call her loyal, because she's supposed to be married to Hephaestus and Outright cheated on him. Sure, yeah, she wasn't loyal, I guess, but compared to other gods where they would just fuck everyone, Aphrodite stuck to basically 2. But yeah, I mean, she wasn't... Yeah, she wasn't good. That's true. In terms of gods, I guess I was thinking that 2 isn't that many. I'm sure Zeus cheated at least 500 times. So compared to her, only 1, she's not as bad. But, still bad. I still gotta go back to the place where the treasure is. What is that? What are you? You're some kind of worm. Turn around, please. Okay, that's just all you are. You're lava. Dude, I kind of like lava. It jumps. It has babies. Very tanky. And that's just another one. Fantastic. Dude, it's funny that we all only hear about Zeus's children then in all stories. Because, like, obviously the only reason why I know is because of all the stories and series or whatever. I haven't heard any stories about Poseidon's children. I guess they just didn't matter, or he actually treated them well. I don't know. Usually all the stories about how shitty of a dad Zeus is. I guess Poseidon maybe took good care of his children, even though he had a lot of them. Maybe he was a good boy. Yeah, Poseidon was going ham then. I actually didn't know that, yeah. Have I been there? Where am I? Guess I haven't been there. There's also something there. We got a chest as well. I'll just grab this, just in case. I've made the mistake of not just going to a bonfire before. Turns out you shouldn't have gone the other way, because that's death. And now you gotta run all the way back, because you were stupid and you didn't rest. I guess, potentially for a secret, I need to remove more of those things. This game seems to love its secret bosses, or like, not necessarily secret, but removing 3 different things, and then suddenly something spawns because of it. Missed. For Smite 2, did you try against the partner program since the drops were they're doing for Smite 2 would be great for the partners? They denied me again. They didn't answer my tweet. And I recently got another denied thing that popped up for me. So I think it's a no. I think they just say no. Unfortunately. I gotta build my fan base, apparently. Alright. I mean, if Smite 2 succeeds, it might work out. Dude, what the fuck is that? That's just a hand. But it's clearly not. Dude, there's something there. That is not just a hand. Examine, huh? You know what? This seems like... Oh, fuck it, I'll just do it. Yes. Let's take it. It's a mirror. Buddha's right hand? Alright, this is the boss. I mean, very cool idea. I'll say that straight from the get-go. I'm not gonna lie. This is a very cool idea. What is this? I'm being flicked at. Don't flick me. Dude, stop flicking me. Dude, what the hell? Why is this boss such a cool idea? What? Dude, that's kind of horseshit. You can't just palm me, like, just random palm me and explode the ground. No, you can't bitch slap me though, I understand that. I saw a fist. Don't... Okay. Dude, this is... Oh my god. Dude, what the fuck? Get me out. Get me out. Dude, this is Demon Souls. If you know, you know. This is legitimate Demon Souls. Ow. Also, potion. Nice, and a cinematic finish. 100% Demon Souls, but better. Yeah, you're right. Demon Souls definitely has its age. This was a cooler version of that type of fight. But in Demon Souls, this was one of the cooler fights as well. Which was the Armored Spider, I believe it was called. Dude, that's such a what the fuck creature. What are you? And why are you? Oh, I got a bridge! Great. Also you again.
I
I've laid your path for you. But where will my path be? From now on, we're both on our own.
Well, I'm gonna go check out the treasure room you talked to me about before.
Tell me, Monkey, what's it like out there? Beyond these mountains?
It's a lot of fucking snow, I tell you that. There's so much snow. Alright, let me just go back and... Dude. Yes. That's what I wanted to do. What is that? It's so dark. I can't go in there anyway. Yeah, the diversity stuff is funny. Dude. People will always find something to complain about. I don't think this game needs diversity. I think it has plenty. Dude, how do I get back up? Come on, man. Can't be kidding me. Where does this path even lead? Yeah, I can't go that way, I know. I guess I'm going this way now. I upset with One Piece. No, I never read the One Piece manga. I am simply watching the anime, and I'm still not caught up on that either. I watch it in chunks. I watch it when I have a bunch of episodes, and then I will take a long break, and then I can just binge watch again. And then I watch it with a friend, which also results in us needing our time to line up as well. I want to go back. I want to go back. Where even is it? It's up there. I need to go up there. I guess I just can't though. I need to... Fuck it. I'm just gonna go find a different rest spot. Can't be one too far, right? Definitely can't be one that far. That one spoil, yeah, I appreciate it. It's like I'm basically at the very beginning of the new arc, which I am not hooked on at the moment. But knowing Oda, I will get hooked eventually. So no, man, snap out of it. Big day. That's what they're saying. I couldn't tell what they said before.
Shut it. Stupid thing. Faster.
I remember seeing... It's probably coming up then, but I do remember seeing the three ladies talk
So excited about
in a
the wedding.
preview a very long time ago of this game.
Little brat. Dead. Come here. Stop it. I take it back. Hey, look, the groom is here.
Apologies for keeping you waiting, sisters.
Wow, is he really the one Mother's been expecting? I thought he would look better.
He's not much to look at.
Give my man a break, man. He's
Not
doing his
much to
best.
look at, but quite a fighter, though. Had to use Mother's ancestral vessel to take him down. Still aching.
Aren't you diligent? Such a rare catch. Why not let us sisters have it first?
Think before you talk. This is the one Mother is set on. One scratch, and none of us would like the results.
What would this marriage change? We are bound to this ill place one generation.
My friend would hate this game because he is arachnophobic. And this area is big. And there's a lot of spiders popping out of nowhere. Also, I'm sorry for randomly
Right, he's nothing but mother's meal.
needing to look at my feet here,
No
but
need to make a big fuss over him.
I'm still listening.
He is all yours.
You've done great.
Wait.
Sometimes I get stabbed by dog hair, and I gotta remove that shit, because it's like a splinter.
And the girls are too young to know better. But can't you see it's
One of the
all
downsides of having a dog
Hard to think from her position.
is hair splinters.
This is what we do.
But I am on her side. For decades, she's been tortured by her wound, all thanks to this dumb thing. And yet, she still wants to marry him. No! I can't do this anymore.
Love is not about forgiving or getting even. It is never a fair
Yeah,
game.
it's like stings a bit.
It's about two souls woven together by fate.
But
Some of them can get pretty bad though, if they touch a bad nerve. That shit fucking hurts.
Her past.
Usually just a bit, it just stings a bit.
We can't understand her obsession today.
have you told Uncle?
They have a big family.
Later.
Though her joy
They're probably old spiders.
It's still joy before it's returned.
They still eat cookies though.
You, come with me. Ahead is Mother's chamber. Now listen carefully for your own good. Mother is usually nice, only she prefers to dine alone. You wouldn't want to disturb her. And don't look at her in the face, especially her eyes.
Hurry, we are running out of time.
What, is she Medusa? Is
Keep them in mind.
Go, there's no time to
Spider Medusa? Don't look her in the eyes?
I have been waiting for so long. Years up there haven't been kind to you. But you're with me now.
Girls, let the feast begin!
Nothing immediately wrong with her eyes. Oh, we were just spying? Ah. I see. Okay. Well, I still gotta somehow find my way back to the treasure room. Or just anywhere, to be honest, because where the fuck am I and where the hell do I go? Oh. I found the way. Wukong went back, so I got confused. Do need to use my sparks eventually. I'm not trying to log on to those. Okay. This enemy sucks. They just fly away. Oh, there's a chest down there. No! Oh man. This is not a good place for me to be. Go, my friends. Fuck him up. We'll make our last stand here. I think I have been left alone. Why are these worms suddenly so aggressive? Oh my god, they're non-stop interrupting. I can't get anything off. Get me out of this place. Actor just dead. I couldn't tell half the time what in the world was even hitting me, but they have some range bullshit they throw. As well as the fucking lava so fucking fast as shit for some reason. Dude, where am I even going to spawn? Where am I? It's been so long since I had a rest. I guess now I can maybe... Yeah, I'm all the way back here. Can I just go back to where I was before then instead? Yeah, this place. Let me just check out this fucking treasure. It's got me curious. Wait, where is it again? Where am I? Over there. Found it. That's where it is. So it's definitely not fake, right? Something's not adding up here. Where's my trap? This can't be right. Oh. This one has a face. Get me out of this corner. Damn it. Oh my god. Make it stop. Fucking stop. It interrupted me as well. Dude, this thing acting like a baby. That is so much damage, what the fuck? Dude, this thing is so weird. It's just actually just slapping itself. It's like it's not even trying to hit me, it's just wiggling and doing damage while wiggling. I can't believe that killed me. That is so much damage. I must have got hit by at least like 3 of the things it shoots out. Nonsense. I don't want to deal with you. Oh my god. Dude, it reaches so far. Chill. Stop. Armor worm. Uh-huh. Four days and 20 hours, 200. Guess that's your fastest league. Damn. Have you been playing a lot? Been playing it non-stop? Or what? Of course. What is the proto head thing? Or the proto worm? It's a quest item. The metamorphosis of normal worms continues to last. However, once morphed, these worms lose the ability to reproduce. Doesn't really give any idea what that means or what it's supposed to be used for. I will just have to look around. It's gonna be hard to explore this area. In terms of navigation, this is by far the most confusing one of all the areas so far. I have no idea where I've been and where I haven't been in this place. It's kind of a cool little, like, I guess extra thing that there is a spider on the rest spot. That's kind of fun. So I now have nothing new. Cliff of Oblivion. I don't remember where I died. I just gotta run. Well, this still shows some particle stuff, but I've already done that. What is it this way I went? I believe it was. Dude, I gotta run so far. And I'm just gonna run past all of these guys. Not again. I have no interest in killing every single one of you again. I'll do it once. Have I been over here though? Oh my god. I feel like I haven't been over here. This feels new. Maybe it is not new. There's stuff all the way down there as well. And I cannot go further from here. Dude, what is that down there? Oh, it's a rest spot. Huh. I guess I will get there eventually then. Alright. Felt like I needed to check this, but it seems like it is just a path that... Maybe an alternative path? Not too sure. So where, like legitimately, where the fuck do I go? Where am I? What is this hell I'm in? Jesus Christ, man! How do they jump so far? Heal! Oh my god. Like, perhaps one of the problems as well is the healing is on L1, which is such an awkward fucking button for a healing in these types of games. Oh my fucking god. Stop hitting me. I hate this place. These worms have quickly just... Oh, I didn't want to heal. My god. Actually, I just realized I have to go the other way. I'm pretty sure this is where I came from now that I'm running this way. Yeah, I killed those guys. Yeah, I gotta go this way. Damn it. At least I can rest again. Not exactly correct as you leveled one character in 98. Got a mirror like winning the lottery rerolled. And level 200 on a new character. Fair enough. I don't know. Still sounds like a win. Is that where I was before? Oh yeah, no, this is the, yeah, here we go. This is obviously the way, because the boss... I got back up, I guess. I do think it's very cool when, like, boss corpses or something alike becomes environmental structures. Like a bridge. It's pretty neat. I don't remember if I ever went this way. I don't actually think I did. Didn't I go a different way? No, I think I went this way. Yeah. Because I ran all past these fuckers. Wait, no. No, I definitely did not. This is a definitely different path. Damn it. There's a chest over there, though. I see that. How do I get to that, though? Yeah, exactly, like the WoW boss, yeah. Exactly. I think that's really cool in general. I think it adds a bit more. Like most corpses, like big corpses in games, just disappear. And I don't really mind that, but I do want to give props when it's used in a cool way. I'm hearing noises. Yeah, I went this way. And I want to do this first. Because this is where I died. I want to make sure I'm not missing something from over here. Also, I need revenge. So there's also that. Now I also know to take it a bit more slow in that room, because there is apparently a lot of things in that room. So many enemies. Oh, some of the spiders just explode. Great. And here we are. Still following me. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can just kill them one by one. See if I can one-shot with... Third one does not one-shot. And they poison. Okay. They're not too tanky, they're just really, really annoying. Okay, I think third one should one-shot. Yeah. I'll just charge it up then. No mercy. Because there is a chest, which is the only reason why I'm even doing this. And even though it's just upgrade materials, it's still nice to have. I did upgrade the charging as well, so it should be a bit faster. Alright, are we finally ready? Can I take on the worm now? kind of a weird charge up for that. Maybe I just actually go yoink the chest, and I don't give a shit about these guys. Maybe that's the play. Can't do it with enemies close. Alright. Nice. Got it before the big one showed up. That's not a path. Still, one flying guy was enough to be super annoying. With his shitty projectiles. Yeah, go the fuck away. Oh my fucking god, this place. Everything has projectiles. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Give me a rest. Are you following? Yes or no? Yes, you fucking are. Yes, you are. Oh my god. Dude! This is actually the worst area. Unbelievable. Oh my, everything has projectiles. There's something else. Oh, there's an archer up there too. Great. Yes. If that archer wasn't there, this game wouldn't be fun. Definitely. Alright. Ooh, what do we have here? Ooh, nice. What a great place to meditate. Let us take a little second and relax. I'm glad you can relax here, Wukong. So happy for you. While you do that, I'm gonna go get spit on by 5,000 spiders. And their mothers. Let's see. What do I want to upgrade now? I'm gonna upgrade some transformations. It is fucking time. I don't have a single transformation upgrade. So slight decrease the might retained. That's kind of cool. So you can transform even more. Might recovery speed. Nothing makes it less expensive, which I would have liked, but increased attack is kind of nice. Oh, dude, they all, couldn't see because it's so dark, but they all have like 6 rank ups for this as well. And they're kind of expensive. Maybe I should wait. Now that I've looked at it, it is very expensive. I also never tried Spellbinder, but for now I'm leveling more, immobilized more. I just need 2 more, then I'm fully upgraded and immobilized as well, so. That sounds like a nice thing. Weird how this healing or respawn didn't show up. Didn't make the usual sound of "Hello, I'm nearby. Come find me." None of that. Oh, good. Bye. I don't want to deal with you. I'm done. Dude, I can't see where I'm looking. Hi. Hello. Do you like a bonk? Another rest. Okay. That's oddly close. But, I'll take it. But maybe it's because I'm going into a boss, because now I'm in their abode. Right, I need a second one to fully upgrade. Immobilize. Hello. Uh-oh.
What on earth? It was one merry night, and now she wants to take my life. You're following me like a shadow. Can't you do anything?
I was about to say, is he bigger? Yes. Yes, he is. Alright, hopefully we won't be killing him here. Hopefully we can still save him.
Nitwit. Spare me this burden. Darn it! Did you see all of that? You think I'm a bad joke, don't you? Back! Stay back!
Dude. Rip. I cannot get my last hit off on him. There we go, finally. You good?
It hurts. Keep off. Leave me alone.
Is that it? Are we not no? We're just gonna go away again. We're just gonna go look for him, I guess. Strange. It just made the game scale down in difficulty again. I feel like it was one second day you had bosses that took I mean, it's when there's so many bosses, some are bound to be easy and some are bound to be difficult. I think the quote-unquote main bosses are more difficult. Like yesterday, I dealt with a pretty difficult boss last night. And he was kind of the last boss of the last chapter. But I think you're right. I mean, the last few bosses have been pretty easy. They have. Oh, I think it's time to turn down the brightness a bit again.
Filthy monkey. Aren't you dead already?
Also, seems like that was just a phase 1. Might be getting a bit more difficult now.
This time, I am staying here. You won't make me leave again.
Alright. He turns a slush monster. It's only 50%, so I imagine phase 2 then. Damn it, I wasted my transformation then. Shit. Turned into an actual boar. Alright then. This sludge is making this more annoying than it needs to be, because it's restricting movement a bit. Why are you a sludge fish? Now he's a rhino. Yes, of course. Alright. Yeah, it definitely wasn't easy, but I would say the difficulty came from the sludge, not so much the boss itself. Take a good look at yourself. Oh, did he have a needle in him? Hunter x Hunter style? No, I just got it back. Give me back my poor man. Fuck, man. Yeah, bro, I think it's Commander O'Neill. He had a needle in his brain fucking with him. Bloodstained needle. Relatable, yeah. Definitely. When I get mad, it's because of the needle in my brain. You can't blame me, guys. Like, legitimately, not my fault. It's the needle. It's like, oh shit, Mark's acting up again. I must be the needle. Poor guy. Dude, that's kind of sick. That's a cool little mask. Dude, that's really sick. You can get such cool armor in this game. Like, a lot of it has the same aesthetic in the rope and like half armor, half rope aesthetic, but it looks so cool. I dig it very much. I can only get one of them. I'll grab the hands here. Or gloves. I need more fine gold thread. What about weapons? Nope. Alright, I got the new drip. This one I will allow to be seen. Show me that cool headgear. Thank God the spider cave is over, though. I don't even mind spider stuff that much. I loved the very beginning of this area, but once we got in the cave stuff, I wasn't a fan of this area anymore. It was so weird and confusing. So I have definitely missed something in there. 100%. But I'm okay with that, honestly. I did not enjoy that area. I forgot to rest. Don't really know where to go here anyway, so I'll just go rest. Unless I found the way to go. What the fuck? Oh, it's a dude sitting on a head. I was like, what the hell is that? Well, I found something interesting. Hello? Oh, it's another one of those guys. Someone in the very beginning. Doing the same stuff. Yeah, another scatter thing. Scatter of choice. Dude. When did I get the first one? That was legit. Yeah, this one. Scatter of form that's legitimate from the very beginning of the game. Huh. Forgot to mention you finally got a new mouse. Nice, man. I'm jealous. I should buy a new one as well. You last one served for 9 years, you managed to find a straight up upgraded version of it. And that sounds great. I feel like I could probably, like, mine is just Logitech. I'm pretty sure I could just get a new one. They always make just the same version. So, I probably should do that as well. Mine is not 9 years old, though. Mine is... Maybe it is. Maybe it's like 8 years old, actually. I think I'm underestimating how long it's been since I got a new mouse and keyboard. Yeah, it's definitely 7 or 8 years old. Thinking about it. That's the first piece of tech you ever bought. You could save it, like put it on your, I don't know, like a pedestal or something. As a memory. I'm not even saying that as a joke. You could. What the hell is walking in the back? Dude, what is that? A little bit overkill, I would say. But, oh well. A scorpion beetle? Oh my god, that is so much damage. I should have really rested. I just don't have any mana. Not having mana in this game legitimately sucks. You can't use any of your spells outside of the transformation, which just has a long cooldown. I need to scratch my eye. Why did you have to spawn? As an engineer, you update, take it apart, but you keep the boxes and you'll take as well. Fair enough. The only like decent tech thing that I can do is fix drifting on my controllers by taking them apart and cleaning them in on the inside. Because I don't really have the tools to do it very well, but I can still do it. Doesn't always work, unfortunately, as just is sometimes, but with my current controller, it did work. On my other two controllers, it did not. They were gone. I honestly do need to buy a new controller, just for PC gaming. Because I don't want to keep buying PS5 controllers. Obviously I need one functioning PS5 controller, because I do have a PS5. But for PC I should use something else. Ooh. Don't need to go back and rest when you find a new rest spot. I'm generally a really bad tech person. I just haven't had any experience with it. Jesus Christ. I don't know if my eyelashes are so long that they hit the inside of the glass. Or my glasses. And they just start tickling my eyes. But something is happening that makes my eyes tickle. Just scouting the area to see if I missed something. There's a small cave over there. I don't think... I mean, I feel like I've been there. Whatever. Onwards. The main reason why I feel like I've missed a bunch of stuff in this area is because I haven't met a whole lot of friendly NPCs. I think I'm getting a boss now, though. Usually there's a pretty decent amount of friendly NPCs.
Why dredge up the past? Aren't we here now? Don't you remember how I spared your life when he asked me to clean up the rest of your sisters?
I do remember.
It is the mummy.
And more than that, I even remember how I survived on my sister's flesh after you left.
That's not all on us. The culprit is that centipede. All would have lived if he didn't weigh my master's flesh over your lives.
That centipede, huh?
Blinded by greed.
Wonder if it's this, the thing I killed or if this is a different thing.
He has repented and made his compensation. He even offered that thing to sustain my life. Otherwise, I'd never live to see you today.
My dear, is that true? That thing is in your hands.
Unbelievable. Even now, in your heart, the monkey still comes first.
The monkey? Nah, for me, beauty always comes first.
Good. Carry on with these nice words. Once I'm satisfied, I might lift my finger and tell you where to find it.
You wicked hag! Can't you see your old face? Still obsessed with all this lovey-dovey crap at this age? Ridiculous!
Every day.
That's kind of rude.
In this hollow, I missed and dreamed, waiting for the day to eat you right after we mate, so I can heal.
Then eat!
That is very spider-like.
For your stupid ceremony and vows! What a farce!
My appetite is lost, not just for you, but also for her.
Mother?
Hideous! Hideous spider! Who fathered such a thing? Your fate today has nothing to do with me. I had my mercy misplaced, that's all. What took you so long? I almost died.
We were watching. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
And get me down.
Got PS4 controller around the time PS5 came out, so it's better compatibility with PS3. But I don't know if I made a mistake or not. I still think PS4 controller is better. I think I made the right choice.
In what way am I any less than monkeys? This monkey that you love. I'll chop his heart, slice his liver, and make you eat them!
Ugh. She still has the hair. Oh great, more shit on the ground. Just what I... Oh my god, let me move. Ow. At least they didn't get poisoned. Damn. What? Did not expect the clouds to deal damage to me. Nice. Not so difficult either. Could kind of just avoid a lot of her stuff by being right in front of her, or right underneath. I'll probably meet her again though.
Go after her. She has the relic. Go. I can take care of myself.
Oh no. Dude. This is legitimately my friend's worst nightmare. Oh my god. Run. Dude, that is... I don't hate spiders, but that's nasty. I'm getting out of here. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you stay over there. Thank you very much. Oh my... that's so... That's legitimately kind of scary. Whee! I mean, kind of saved. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. It's 11:30 at night. Could you not? Are these like main boss or side boss or what? What up? Because you seem to be first trying all of them pretty easily. I think there are main bosses, but honestly I don't know, because even side bosses have cutscenes. So I have no idea. That being said, there is also a lot of bosses in this game, so I don't think we're not gonna meet anything that isn't we're not gonna meet anything Millennia level, right? Or I don't know, even shall we say Dancer level. I don't think so, at least. I highly doubt it. I think at worst you're gonna meet something, maybe it's gonna take you 10 tries. But this also comes from someone who plays a lot of Souls games, you know? Like, if this might be someone's first game like this, it would be harder for them. Like, I've heard some people, I listened to a review, oh, I can craft this, a review earlier, and he said he was struggling so hard with this game. And I'm like, how? It's legitimately kind of easy a lot of the time. Or the majority of the time, so it just depends on the person. I don't think this game is made for hardcore Souls fans, so I don't think we should expect an insane amount of difficulty out of this. Because it is difficult at times, for sure, but yeah, it's not that difficult. Kind of back to a greenish zone again.
Who goes there?
Oh yeah, it's definitely easier than FromSoft games right now. I will say though, I think one of the reasons for that is because you have way more tools to help you in your favor. Like, a lot of the time, if I'm really in trouble, I'm going into stealth, and I'm summoning a shit ton of clones, and they help aggro as well as doing a lot of damage. Like, you fill up the big bars, you do like this massive big attack that also staggers the enemy, like shit like that. So while it is difficult, it is easier because of the amount of tools you have to help you out, rather than just, you know, in Souls games where you just kind of only have to hit people. And even in Souls games, like, let's be real, sometimes it's very easy if you use the right magic build. Like, there's the guy who literally one-shot every boss in the game with the right build. Because that was the main thing he wanted to do. He wanted to one-shot every single boss, and yes, even the final boss of Elden Ring DLC, he managed to find a way to one-shot, which is fucking insane. That is so much damage. There's over 100k in a single hit. It's insane how much damage you can do in Elden Ring. Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, Neo, I'll play Neo 2 just for you. Eventually. It's probably not going to be in the near future, but at this point, you've been talking about it enough for me to be curious enough about it. Like, it wasn't on my list. Jesus Christ. I'm poisoned. Who would have thunk the poison snake were poisoned? I could use a rest, which I'm pretty sure I just got. I just forgot to rest, so... Whoops. I'll keep going anyway, though. Dude. Dark. Look at this guy hurrying down the stairs. This looks like a mini-boss. Where's this tiger snake? What the fuck? We got tiger snakes now? Like, you also have these transformations, which also makes it much easier. Like, even if the transformation kind of sucks, they have a separate health bar. And they have a bunch of really cool attacks. But the fact that they have a separate health bar is massive. That literally means you just get free damage on them, as long as you can do a decent amount of damage while you're in transformation. Like, next time I think I see Neo on sale, I would just buy it. So that I have it. How long is Neo? Is it like a big game? We're talking 50 hours, or we're talking like 20 hours? In terms of like a single playthrough. Just so I know what to expect. Is it also time-wise a separate HP bar? Yes. Pretty much no matter what is a separate health bar. Time-wise, just how long you have it, you know. Transformation you go into, like, the more you hit them and like the bigger attacks you do, the more of the time on it you lose. As well as when you get hit, you lose a bit. Actually, don't think you lose time when you get hit. You only lose actual HP. What is doing the fucking wind? Oh, it's you guy. Can you not? It's only one of the transformations, though. You have like the instant transformations, where I have like the sword slash, which I have up at the moment, so I'm gonna use it here. Yeah, so that's this one, which is just generally a one-hit thing. Then you have the big transformation, which is a spell. Pressed the wrong thing. Let me press my shit. I'm taking care of this guy first. Actually, I just realized, what are you? Missed. But also depends on what you mean time-wise. This is... okay, just one path. It definitely has the UE5 problem where dark is very dark and bright is very bright. Very pretty at times when it finds a good balance, but Jesus Christ, is it dark sometimes. Even when there are light sources nearby.
We are in no rush.
This guy can't contain his laughter. I knew who was there. Just because of the laughing. Kinda made it creepy though. Either way, in your twist build, you want to go through only game +4, or at least get the final, because it changed a lot of things. Like you get really cool gears, scrolls, a lot of mechanics get unlocked in New Game Plus, but you have the entirety of New Game 1 and 2, and to get New 3 goes. I'm fumbling my words. Just like 10% missions. Base game plus DLC is about 50 hours to do everything. Best part of the New Game Plus thing up to 150, and with the depths, I don't know what the depth is, but okay. 200 easily. Yeah, so it's a pretty big game if you want to do everything. Because if it's a big game, it's probably gonna go pretty far back on my backlog. Because I already have a few big games that I have already bought that I need to do before I buy new stuff. Because I kind of made that rule after I kept buying new shit. I made a rule now, I'm not buying any more new shit. Unless it's a new big game that I'm looking forward to, like Wukong was. Because then I will generally play it instantly and get it over with, rather than just buy it and have it sit there forever. Yeah, like, can you replay bosses just for fun in Neo? Or do you have to replay the game to do it like a Dark Souls game? That's some bullshit tracking right there, but I should probably also rest, because I'm stupid and I didn't rest again. I can replay bosses? Okay. Yeah, the thing is, if I didn't like the base game experience much, I don't want to feel forced to go into New Game Plus, because I don't really... I'm not a big guy on the replaying games in general, especially not 4 times. So it would depend on how much I like the game in general for me to want to replay it like that. Great, now I press rest when I don't need it. Smart. Well, I'm gonna go right instead. Come out here, I want to see what the fuck you even are. Is it like a slug face? Yeah, it looks like a slug face. Okay. I really do like how I can continue my combo even after dodging. I do think that's one of the better talents you can get. It just feels much better. It's not a gigantic difference in terms of damage output, but it just feels so much better. In terms of Souls game releases as well, I'm surprised we haven't heard anything on the Lies of P DLC. Because I'm pretty sure they said they were planning to release it in 2024. So, I think they got delayed with that, I guess. Unfortunately. Which sucks, because they have already announced they're also making a sequel. That shit was really successful, and it was also very good. So, highly recommend that. Thing is, New Game Plus is you play the entire game the same way. Since the game is level-based, you play certain missions until the final New Game Plus. You don't have to do the missions, just about 20%. So you change the enemies on the level in new gear. It's not different, okay? So I do understand how that works then. Because Armored Core is pretty much the exact same thing. Armored Core, to get the full experience, you gotta play the game 3 times. So I understand. And I did that because I love the shit out of Armored Core 6. Specifically Armored Core 6. I don't know if it was the same with the other Armored Core games. I haven't played those. But Armored Core 6, The Fires of Rubicon, was the one I played, the newest one, where Miyazaki was a part of it. It was really fucking good. But for the true ending of that game, you gotta play it 3 times. So I did. And that also changes specific missions and outcomes of those missions. So, yeah. And enemies you face in those missions. Already got 4 sparks again. What was I leveling up before? Right. Last iteration of Immobilize. Fully upgraded Mobilize, man. Sweet. Sure. I'm gonna see if I can upgrade some more overall stamina changes as well, so I can focus more and just keep the fight going rather than run out of stamina. Which I've already done, but more. Even more. I think it's super worth it because of how deep the combat is, how good it looks, how good it feels to unlock new moves, and honestly the bosses are more fun to fight. Aside from 2, which are quite bad. The rest is up tier. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I've obviously also heard great things about Neo, so I have no reason not to try it. Commander Beetle? He does resemble a beetle, I admit. This guy's kinda cool. But he's also really, really slow. Come over here. He was quite easy. I felt like he was just really, really slow. But I did get a void, a not a voidness. Nah, don't worry about it. I understand being excited about some things. I'm right up there with you about some other things. Like, I kind of rambled a bit when you brought up Final Fantasy 16 yesterday, so I can't really complain. I think it's wonderful when people have something they're really excited about. I don't mind listening to that. Their happiness is my happiness. It is something people very often take for granted. Having passion is very, very important. It's a big step towards happiness. I think I can definitely hit a wall where I might get a little tired of listening to the same thing, but I do also very much enjoy when people talk about passion stuff. It also obviously depends on what it is. Like, if you talk to me about politics, I'm probably not going to be very interested. I can't. I couldn't give any... I have zero shits to give about that. But I'll probably still listen a little bit. But I think it will be very visually apparent when I am not interested in talking about it anymore. Because I'm just probably falling asleep. But mostly when it comes to games, I can talk about it for hours. Games is my passion, so... I fucked that statue up. Yeah, now it's kind of bright. But it's still really dark in the dark areas, so... Dude, I cannot tell when these guys are attacking. Their movements are so weird. Luckily, they don't do a whole lot of damage, but Jesus Christ. Weird ass movement. I'm just gonna go rest again. Because, I don't feel like using an anti-poison thing just for that. I'm also not tired at all, but it is getting pretty late. I do want to make sure I don't go to sleep too late as well. But I still want to play. I want to play more. I see a chest, but also a thing again. Got one of those guys over there. I see some interesting stuff over here. We're reaching a point again in this area now that has just so many repeated enemies that I am just gonna see if I can skim through it a little bit. Let me meditate. What a great time. What a relaxing area. How relaxing. Nothing around me at all. Yeah, I'm gonna run past you guys. Except for this guy, because this guy is now a spirit. Oh my god. Gigabonk. Really wish I would make more of these little mini bosses rather than the spam of too many of the same enemy non-stop. Feel a lot more fun to fight. Yeah, I do think at least with the repeat enemies, make something different about them. Make them drop something unique, or I think this game has an interesting way of doing its mini bosses where even though it's just a normal enemy, oh, this guy again. Even though it's just a normal enemy, sometimes they drop these spirits that add more to gameplay. I think, well, I think that's kind of the thing. I think Elden Ring was a little too big for its own good, because there weren't enough enemies or items in the world to really make it interesting to explore every single little corner of Elden Ring. They still made it obviously super cool, but I could definitely feel that the DLC tried to spread things out a bit more. Like a lot of areas were pretty empty compared to the base game, but the base game also just had a bunch of shit everywhere.
A broken mirror cannot be made whole again, my friend. Tell Master Pig, if you will, that attachments are not to be dwelt upon. Immortal once, from above, in her webbed prison.
Okay.
Immortal in her webbed.
This guy is the biggest FromSoft character in this whole game. He's incredibly fucking vague. He talks in fucking riddles. And he won't elaborate. And he's just drawing something. And playing music. Like, this guy is the FromSoft fucking NPC of this game. At least most other characters in this game are pretty comprehensible. That guy is not. Alright, well, for once I actually just went and got the side room done real fast. It's not surprising the big green poison snake poisons, but it does it so fast. Like, that thing hit me once. I'm fucking poisoned. I think you'll like that from Neo too, because every yokai gives you a special ability that you can use as your own, which is pretty neat. Yeah, I heard some great stuff about Neo's ability stuff. I think there's only really one thing I'm worried about with Neo, and that is just boss fight flow. Because I can be pretty strict and picky about how much I enjoy boss fight flow. So I'll just have to wait and see, because the only real way to figure out if I like it or not is to actually just play it. Yeah, what do you mean by boss fight flow? That's the thing, it's kind of hard for me to explain. The dance with bosses is the most important thing for me in FromSoft games. Like, when you play against Dancer, you can read everything Dancer does, but it might still be pretty difficult to respond to. In Sekiro, you can see when you're supposed to reflect or deflect, but even then, it's still kind of hard to deal with. That's the kind of stuff that I enjoy, when it makes complete sense on how to deal with it, but even still, it's a challenge. I think that's the great parts about boss fights from FromSoft. That others have such a hard time to master, because either like hitbox is gonna be weird, or you can feel that the combat isn't made for like fast-paced dodging or anything like that. But FromSoft combat just kind of has everything to a it's methodical. It's not methodical. It's strategic, I guess. It's strategic combat, but in action form, if that makes any sense. I think what... Wait a second. I can see below the ground. I can't believe my immersion. Ooh, I'll grab this. The only issue with Neo 2's bosses is that they don't have much lore, and the OSC is breathtaking. Yeah. I think that's fine though. It doesn't have to be. I think, especially in terms of FromSoft. Well, that's a boss. Especially in terms of FromSoft stuff. I guess Dark Souls 2 is an example. I barely liked any of the boss fight flow in Dark Souls 2. Specifically why, I don't know. I can't tell you. Excuse me? I think I kind of understand. I think maybe this is the third one I should have gotten, because I removed one of the things. Like of these things. God damn it. So I removed one of these. I probably need to remove more to remove this field. Maybe. Maybe there's... That could be more than 3, but I found one. This one just kind of seems locked. Could also just be a different reason. Maybe I need to kill the boss first. Ooh. Chest. There's a boss in the DLC 3 of Neo 2, which is the single best boss I've ever encountered. Yeah. Like, if the moment... There's also a thing, like, a lot of it is preference too. That's also why even though I obviously understand your passion for it, I don't want to instantly just take you up on your word for it being the best, because that might just be how you feel about it. Because I definitely don't think it will dethrone anything for me in terms of FromSoft, but I still, like, I would rather want it to surprise me. Like, it might, who knows. But then I would want it to surprise me rather than expecting it, if that makes sense. I don't want to get my hopes up if I might not even end up liking the game. Alright, let's see what this is.
Please. You must save me.
So, both my trap and my vessel failed. But how?
Oof.
When I saw him, I just couldn't.
FPS not looking too great here, even though it's actually fine. I'm looking at my FPS here. It's 73, but it seems to be stuttering a little bit. Maybe it's just a bad cutscene.
Showing such disrespect. Your wound was recovering.
It might just be pre-rendered, actually. A pre-rendered cutscene in 30 FPS. That actually might be what's happening here.
I'll deal with him. But before that thing of mine, do you still have it?
I do.
Very well. Despite all your failures, you led the Destined One here. I should reward you for that. But the thing I gave you, now I must have it back.
I don't know, I say we join the spiders on this one.
You girls are far too young to comprehend my design.
Centipede Man.
This, along with those relics inside him, shall free me of Kunlun's reign.
This guy feels like he could be one of the more difficult bosses.
I'll avenge you. Now let go of your misery and rest in peace.
Dude, what? Okay. Kinda sick, honestly, in terms of presentation on this. Like, am I with the spiders? Yeah, I can target them. Alright, we're doing a Radon. Except it's spider allies. And like, you can't see anything either. Dude, it's actually just Monster Hunter. This is great. And he's tanky. Hey, they should pull out of patches. I mean, one of them might. There was definitely one of them that hesitated a lot more than the others. He dipped. He has so much health. I'm just gonna save my spells in case I end up needing them for... well, for a fight, a later stage, I guess, where I might have to solo him. Unless he gets too low, then I'll just use it to finish him off, but... right now he doesn't give a single fuck about me. He now suddenly gives a fuck about me. That's because the spiders dipped. No. You called it. They all dipped. I'm sure they'll be back for me, right? They'll be back for me. I can't deal all that HP by myself. He fucking poisoned me. Why does everything need poison in this fucking game? Ow. Fuck is Unlimited Blade Works horseshit? Freeze! Jesus Christ, man. He's a flashbang. Don't do that. Oh. Eating swords are good. They're power-ups. What a thunk. Did he lower my stamina? Dude, he didn't just lower my stamina, he made me slow as well. What the fuck? Okay, I definitely need to save some stamina for that fight. Or for that stage. Cool boss? Yeah, it's pretty cool. It definitely is a difficult boss, this one. I'm not sure I'm gonna be as lucky, because I played it pretty safe. Dude, the spiders are gonna help me in the beginning again, right? Right? Otherwise, it might be a little more difficult. Spiders. Hello? Oh, okay. He just starts with lower HP. Okay. I'll take that, I guess. Because he's a shit ton of HP. Damn it. I was trying not to heal just prematurely, because my first heal will heal me to full HP, so I'm trying not to heal it too early. I just... Yeah. Yeah, not a fan of that. I mean, the spider's not showing up for the second time. That would have been nice. It was kind of a part of the fight, so that is unfortunate. I agree. Sadly, that seems to happen a lot with this game. Some things only experienced once. Like some of the early transformations. Damn it! I think one bad thing about this boss is it's so easy to get stuck on his legs. I'm trying... Okay, well, I was trying to pause this whole fucking time, because my fucking head started being itchy. That didn't fucking work. I literally just spam pressed my escape button. Or pause button. That was so weird. I have no idea why I didn't do that. I don't see why I wouldn't be able to pause in the middle of the boss. Hasn't been a problem before. Yeah, prefer boss with full HP rather than boss with more damage. I prefer something that is in between. Because I think Midir in Dark Souls is a bad example of way too much fucking health. To the point where it just becomes boring for me. I think this boss is fine. He's got a lot of health. But he also doesn't just straight up fucking two-shot you. What the fuck is that chain? I'm not sure I've seen that one. That's a weird move. Stop running away! That one's very strange. Maybe I gotta stop that with projectiles, actually. I don't know what he's doing. Jesus Christ. I don't know when he's attacking sometimes. He's gonna do it again. Now what the fuck is this? I was in stealth. I'm pretty sure he wasn't trying to hit me there. He just fucking missed the decoy. I can skip this, but I guess I'll watch it again. I'm out of healing? I didn't even realize. And he just, okay. Like, what am I supposed to do in this? He legitimately like has me slowed. I'm super slow in this phase. I absolutely despise that. I hate how slow you are in that phase. He literally put me in slow-mo. But I gotta get to that phase without being low on flasks. Would be interesting, small editing. Depends on what you mean by that. If you're talking about highlighting this playthrough, then that would be a big endeavor. I would probably, if it came to that, I would hire someone to do it. I just don't know who.
Now you shall pay their debts.
Am I dead? Yes, I'm very dead. That's a grab attack, and it does a lot of... The grab attacks didn't kill me, the poison ended up killing me. Discounting out when you fight boss and uploading fights as standalone bits. You can do this on YouTube itself by cutting a portion of the VOD. It would take a lot of work that I feel like I don't really have the time for at the moment. Mostly because there's too many games to play. Like, could I do it? Yeah, I could. And I maybe would if I had a bigger fan base. And you could kind of segue that into, it would be a bridge to more fans if I ended up doing that. I don't know, I just don't have any interest in editing, like at all. I think I would hate it. Getting interrupted mid-air feels so bad. What is happening? Mid-air interruption again, that sucks, man. Excuse me? Did I just get grab attacked? How? From where? I didn't even see him do anything. Oh, okay. Damn. Yeah, my hand started to hurt. Yeah. I need to get to this phase with more healing. I just don't. Every time I have fucking nothing left. Take about 10 minutes to do an entire VOD. It also depends on what you want to be in it, you know? I feel like if I started to get going on that stuff, I would take it way too serious. I'm half lazy and half perfectionist. If I start doing something, I want to make sure it's good. But getting to actually start doing something is the problem. But it's a separate problem if I start doing it, because then I want it to be perfect as well. But I'm willing to check it out. Maybe it's something I might enjoy doing. Dude, his attacks are so weird to read. Okay, that lasted no time at all. Dude, stop running away. Come back, pussy. Fight me. Oh, I'm dead. Jump! Oh my goodness. Dude, what is that? He does a random parry, and I just can't fucking tell when he's doing it. I just got hit by everything. And that's just all of my healing again.
There's another strike. None escapes the powers. Die in the light and the sight of my eyes.
Oh, I can't transform in this phase.
Today I will break my destiny and yours too.
I'm skipping this. I don't want to see this again. Interrupt it. He parries me as well. What? Happening? Yeah, I really need more healing going into that phase. I don't think this is a bad boss, but I don't like the way he... like how awkward it is to hit him. Because he moves around a lot, and he's fucking weird as centipede body. I get stuck... excuse me, I get stuck in between his body sometimes. That's probably the worst part about it. It's getting stuck on the boss model itself. Yeah, so this room with the timestamp to command it, save it. Yeah, I'll just have to take a look at it, I guess. It might just be something I don't know enough about. Well, if I can't transform with the other one, I'm just gonna do it at some point in this phase. Obviously makes no sense to save it for a phase where I can't use it. Dude, he does this fucking parry and you literally cannot avoid it because he does it without any kind of prompt. And if you get hit by it, he will hit you afterwards. I think that's fucking horrible. I hate that move. He has so many attacks where he sticks his sword in the ground, but one of them is a parry. Dog shit, I tell you. But this is probably the hardest boss so far. At least the other ones, there was like an end in sight. You just had to like get some of their moves under control. This guy, I'm just never healthy enough on his, I guess, third phase. Or second phase, I'm not really sure. I guess second, technically. Get hit by that every time. And I got poisoned. Dude, why am I slow? Maybe it's not the face that does it. Maybe he has some other move that does it. Something definitely slows me on this boss, and I can't tell what it is. I wanted to avoid that before I healed. Just think it would be super simple, takes time, and would be super beneficial as well. Yeah, no, I get where it's coming from for sure. Like, knowing me, if I got into it, I would probably do it. I'm just kind of stuck in that mindset where, like, I don't want to work super hard for, I guess, like, when I don't have a fan base I know will actually watch that stuff. But at the same time, my other voice in my head will say that more people would be interested if it was more digestible. So, because once again, like, I don't need to do this as a job. I don't need it. It would have to be a hobby, so it would have to be fun for me to do. Otherwise, there's no point in it for me. Being a content creator is never really something I wanted to be. I just like playing Smite, you know? And have people to talk to while playing Smite. That's the only reason why I started streaming. Dude, come on. Okay. My fucking stun was completely wasted because he decided to go underground. Heal! I'm pressing the fucking button, man! I also feel like I have less healing on this boss than usual. It's so weird. You gonna do that? You gonna do your shit? Yes. Yes, you are. So I need to dodge him after this. Got 2 healing left. Because then he's going to do the cutscene thing every time. And then we actually go into the boss fight. Yes. That's great. Okay, you can also can't stun him in this phase. Yes. Well, this seems just great. Dude, no matter what you do, you get fucking interrupted mid-air. This boss legitimately isn't letting you do anything. And he one-shot me. Okay. Is he hard? Yes, but I don't think this boss is fun at all. He never really lets you do anything in terms of... I might have to just swap to a different, like, pole attack. But he does not let you go into the air at all. Yeah, that autistic Bison is why to do it when no one else is gonna do it. It's pointless. It's... yeah. It is. Okay, out of range. That's a first. Yeah, this one is actually a bit faster. The thrust, it does less damage, but it is faster, so I think I'll use that instead. Dude. That grab attack is dumb. I wasted a flask. Because I couldn't tell if he was using it or not. The tilt is rising over me. I didn't press attack. He actually... how did he poison me, man? I didn't think I got hit by any of his shit. It's definitely just there's no way I'm doing it this attempt, but I'll... Okay. Definitely not doing it this attempt. But I'm gonna see if I can get to the second phase and still just learn it a bit better. What? Dude, I don't understand that grab attack at all. I'm fucking behind him. Like, I'm just dead to poison here. He does it pretty rarely, I think, but that grab attack I don't get at all. Depends on what you said earlier. You said quite a few things earlier. So... But yeah, you can just ask again. I'll answer it again if I did, and if I didn't, then I will answer it. Because I definitely haven't read as much as I've been focusing on this boss. And whining about it. I hate this boss. Yeah, so use it for efficiency's boss, not a one-shot. That's fair, yeah. Makes sense. I think this is the worst, hardest boss there is so far. The other, I think, hard bosses I actually found really enjoyable. Like the Tiger, for example. The Tiger was the best. It's probably still the best boss so far. The Tiger was so fucking good. Oh, dude, that's... Oh my god, I just realized. My own transformation kind of fucks me, because it puts me in snow, and that makes me slow. I don't think that's what's been slowing me all the time, but it honestly also might be. I'm pretty sure the second phase has something that slows me a bit. And he took all my fucking focus away. That's another thing I think is actually kind of shit. Now that I'll mention that real fast, because it's on my mind now. When you get a hit, you lose, like you lose the focus points you fucking used when you get interrupted. That's so bad. It's such a bad mechanic. That is arguably the worst thing in this whole game. You get so heavily punished for not getting your ability off. It also takes your cooldown if you get interrupted during a spell. It's so bad. I think that actually feels like shit. That should not be a thing. Yeah, that grab sucks. It's so fucking shit. I have no idea what triggers it. It's so fast. Dude, target. Thank you. Dude, and that parry is kind of horseshit as well. I've now learned that you can dodge the move after the fact, but that parry is instant as well. Bro, could I fucking press the ability, man? This is a yikes situation right here. I'm probably gonna get to the second phase. Yeah. But I'm so dead. And I can't attack him during this either. Yeah, the good old Aldrich flashbacks. Everyone's favorite fucking boss. The way he moves is kind of Aldrich as well, to be honest. Oh, he parried me. Great. What's this? It's death. There is definitely something weird with rolling on the second phase. You're legitimately fat rolling in the second phase. It's just, I feel like this boss could be really cool, but there's so many smaller things that makes it shit. Right now, this boss would go on the lowest of tiers for me. It's straight up unenjoyable. I don't enjoy this boss at all. Which makes me sad. Because finally there is an actually difficult boss. But it's difficult in a non-fun way. I'm gonna focus a bit. Miss. That's just fantastic. I love when that happens. Also missing auto attacks because like it auto targets in between the legs, so it just misses sometimes. That's another shit thing on this boss. There is zero tell for when he's gonna come up as well on that. It's Game Science's first game. That's fair. Oh, this is a certified shit boss. I can't tell where, like, the camera goes away, so I can't see when he's gonna strike. There's so many small things on this boss that I hate. It's tragic. I'm gonna try and focus on it, though. We're nearing 1 AM. I didn't realize how late it already is. I'm gonna just finish this boss and then probably end it, but let me actually just log in. It's time to log in. Do I have sparks to use? I do actually have sparks to use. Let me see if I can just get something. Scrap that one. A bit more health depending on damage remaining or health remaining, but not really sure how much that's gonna do on a boss, but more damage and charge attacks is definitely good.
You are seeking no doom, just like those girls. A doom that I'm more than pleased to give you.
I got poisoned somehow. That's not what I wanted to press. Excuse me? You actually fucking missed. I'll also take a bit of an L here. Because I just realized something crucial. But I'll say it after the cutscene. I felt really stupid. Yo, why didn't you help me? Huh? Yeah, this is just a 30 FPS cutscene. That's why it looks so choppy at times.
You haven't changed a bit. You fool.
Like, this wasn't the chapter boss, was it? Because that seems like a relic. Because this one chapter was super short then compared to the fucking other one. It's either that or I super rushed this one somehow. Because that kind of looks like a relic. It legitimately took me like 8 hours for the last... It was, okay. It took me like 8 hours for the last chapter. This one, I started at the beginning of the stream. So which is 3 hours and 30 minutes. What the hell?
月光在初见的角落，
月光在西边的站楼，
思念是眉间的药。
愿年年望相思，寻常最长久。
汹涌如江流，
忐忑似轻舟。
Oh man, sad.
多么多么自由。云舒
风息，
一周，
从
立春到立秋，在那一刻我爱上你的所有。忘了是心田的沟。
记得是
Forbidden love.
酒。
知音是相拥无言，
愿天黑花当你，总会说不够。
Why did that happen though? Why did he turn to pig? Now it's a fish. A pig fish. It's kind of cute. Ah, she still saw him like that. That's cute.
听错了风，又怎么会有遗憾？
Find someone who's just as fucked up as you. It's a very cute love story, actually. I like this. And everything they went through. What went wrong, man? Damn. He chose the adventure over the staying with, I guess, his love.
You have grown in strength, but not in wisdom. You've not
You're grown
only
powerful, but you're
hurt
still stupid.
Bajia and his
Thanks.
darling, but also laid waste to the seal of the High Ones. A grave misdeed. Mortal or immortal, all seek to
That actually kind of got to me a little bit, because it's very real story. You know, if you just use it as a metaphor, beside it being a boar and a spider thing, but having sides that might not be as accepted by the other person, and then you meet someone who completely accepts you for who you are. That is something special. Damn. Every single one of the, I guess they call them like music videos on the menu screen, they've been great. Every single one of them is super good. They tell such a great, cool little story. All upgrade materials? Good.
Long ago, the many-legged one was subdued by Bodhisattva Pilanpur and locked on Purple Cloud Mountain. Only by a plea from the Celestial Court was he spared. The Immortals dispatch minions to enact their will, while they remain serene, as if playing a game of chess. Pity those pawns. They know full well what they are, yet they cling to false hopes and even take pride in it.
Yeah. Look at the belly, though.
Even the sacred gourmand remains mundane if he clings to the ties of love. He was an admiral of the court, a pig in the mountains, and Bajia in the journey. Yet his nature remains unchanged.
Why did he change randomly to boar, though? Like, what happened there?
A guileless fool may know less sorrow.
Like, is it to say he was an actual pig for like in a disgusting way, and he turned into one for chasing a love that wasn't his, or something like that?
From the court. Amid the trials of the seven spiders and the many-eyed one, it was Bodhisattva Pilanpur who lent a hand. No aid from the court was given. But Wukong is ever heedless of rules. He might have sought higher places for help.
Though I guess that was also just the, maybe I'm... Oh, there's something here.
Posts of the court have stood unchanged.
That was obviously the obvious thing of him being eaten after they mate. Maybe that's what he ran away from.
The seven spider guys. They boast an endless procession of generations.
I do kind of understand not wanting to be eaten. Like, sex is great and all, but I don't want it to be the end of me. Okay. I guess I will proceed and just like yesterday, I will start this next chapter and I will get to the first rest point, and then I will stop. Chapter 5, Golden Child, Crimson Blood. I wonder if they have showed the last boss of this game. I imagine they don't, but I also imagine, outside of us seeing it, it's probably going to be Erlang Shen, right? It's going to be Erlang. But I wonder if we've actually seen it in a trailer. Calm yourself, Pigman. Oof. Right in the butt. Damn. That's such a slick outfit, man. Look at that. Cool AF. Is there any loot around here, though? Nah, it doesn't seem like it. It's practically like an intro. Like, every new chapter, they have like a cool intro again, which is pretty sweet. I dig it.
Time was I guarded.
Yeah, everyone's playing Magic Thoughts right there. Is this worth it? Most of them go, hell yeah.
That grand transformation of mine was the only reason you're still standing here. A proper kneel to show gratitude would be appropriate.
Can't feel regret if you're not feeling anything.
Fooled me once.
Yeah, I'll let you know. No. Maybe I'll do it once everything has calmed down a bit, but right now I'm so overwhelmed with everything, every game thing happening. Like Wukong right now, obviously, Smite 2 coming so soon, World of Warcraft expansion. On top of that, I still want to do my usual, like, you know, I have a dog to take care of. Luckily, I am a lucky person, in a sense, I guess. Well, I have my own fair share of issues, but I don't have work, so that is something. I do have a lot of free time because of that. Is that the third son? No, that's not a rat. It looked like a rat. What are you? I can't tell. I don't think you classify as an animal. Never mind. I feel like if I wanted to do a highlight stuff though, or highlight stuff, I would want to just do more than just bosses, you know? Like, bosses is one thing, like, it could definitely be interesting, but I would want it to be more like an actual highlight video, in the, shall we say, like, show funny moments, show angry moments, show, you know, moments of interest, I guess. Also, this was a much quicker rest point than it was last time. New pole. Hell yeah. Give me that. Also, I can just get new armor. See, this is a nice hat. I like this. But I should probably make boots first, because I couldn't make the other ones. Yeah, plus 20. Dude, that looks so cool. God damn. I'm already getting new gear though. Fuck. I like the one I had. I just got this set that I had. Yeah, this one. Shit. Dude, this game, I said it before, this game needs transmog. Like, how was transmogging not a thing already? How has it not been introduced to me? There's way too much cool looking shit in this game. It doesn't. I don't know if it does. If it does, I haven't been introduced to it. I'll put it that way instead. I have not seen it so far. Like, it could be one of those cases where it becomes an unlockable thing after the game is over, which would suck a little bit for a lot of people, I think. Alright, fine. Come over here. I'm also not gonna lie, I have absolutely been slacking on transformations. Maybe I should actually try a new one. I've been using the Samurai Slash for quite a long time now. But it's also because you need to upgrade them. I think that's one of the shittier parts. I have to cultivate spirits here, and they cost resources to do so. And it's pretty expensive, to be honest. I would love to do more, but there's so many. I can't do all of them. It's so expensive. Which one would be cool, though? Probably... What about this guy? Eh. Like, this one's kind of fun. Nah. None pure, I think, would be pretty interesting. Very long, too. I don't know if I will take damage if I get hit by boss, though, in this state, which would make it not worth it. Way too long of a cast time. I don't know, I feel like the Slash is probably just one of the better ones. Instead, actually, I got Commander Beetle. What is this? That could be nice. What is the secondary effect? Resistance to poison, I don't give a shit about that. This one is also nice because they have like passive effects. This one gives you more crit. So that is kind of nice. Whatever. I'll just fully upgrade this one. So far, none of the other ones work as well for me. So screw it. I don't want to focus anything there. Alright, I think that is pretty much gonna be it then. What is it tomorrow? Saturday? Yeah, I think I'll just keep the same structure. Oh, did you Google it, Benji? No transmog is unfortunate, because he has so many cool fits. Hopefully it's something they can add with DLC, because people playing this in the future needs to be able to transmog stuff in this game. I think I would have liked to replay this game if it wasn't so long. But it is pretty long. Maybe I'll feel different about it once I finish it, but at the moment this doesn't feel like a good replay game to me. I think it's the most progressive thing. Yeah, okay. I'm glad people understand the true value of gaming. Health is low. Increased poison resistance. Slightly increased damage reduction. This effect is enhanced when equipped with a golden sun crow. Do I even have that? I don't. So anyway, I actually completely forgot to say, on the boss, I completely forgot because I don't really like it much, before I actually continue as well. Each soap slightly increase the health recovery of the drink. The immobilize affects all enemies around the target. That's pretty interesting. After consuming medicine, increase the critical of the next attack. I don't really like any of these that much. Slightly increase the health recovery of the drink is probably the best one overall. Immobilize, again, I think of in terms of other good on bosses. I don't give a shit about immobilizing as a pack of mobs. Like it's gonna be over pretty soon anyway. Interesting on the next attack. I think I'll just take the healing. So anyway, what I realized after I did the boss is that I have a spell that enhances me when it literally nerfs myself to make myself stronger. It lets me be unable to use spells and skills, but it makes me physically more powerful. On a boss fight that takes away my transformation, this fits perfectly. I should have had this spell on me. Yeah, an offensive spell activated by slapping the character written on the palm against the chest. It considerably enhances attack. While active, the character emits continuous golden glow, binding the use of any other spells, vessel transformation, soul skills. When confronted with formidable foes capable of restricting spell casting, this spell may offer unexpected advantage. I completely forgot about this. It would have been good on the boss. Was it an instant win? No, obviously not. But it would have been great. Not to mention, it has a cleanse on its first upgrade, so I could use it to remove the poison as well. Recovers a considerable amount of health after successfully performing Spellbinder as well, so it could even heal me too. When I should upgrade this and simply have it for when it's good, because it's incredibly situational. I don't give a shit about Ring of Fire, but this one is super good in some cases, and I can only imagine this will happen more often from now on, where bosses will deactivate some of my abilities. So for now, I will just upgrade that. Because I want to make sure it at least is somewhat powerful when I end up using it. Anyway, small rant. Time to sleep for me. I've been playing a lot today. Yeah, I will be back around the same time tomorrow, as long as I don't oversleep. I will try to see if I can start up the Smite stream around 2 or 3. Get going for a few hours there, take a break once again for dinner and the dog walk, be back for Wukong, and hopefully I can keep doing this until I actually finish Wukong. Right now that is my priority. I will focus on finishing the main story of Wukong, and then I can always do the extra stuff on my own and not have any restriction in terms of streaming. I just play it whenever I feel like it. And then fully focus on Smite 2, hopefully, when that comes out in 3 days. So, thank you guys for watching as always. I really appreciate it, guys. Especially you, Neo and Benji, for sticking around for as long as you have. And maybe another lurker also stuck around for a while. I appreciate it.